a lot. It means that I'm off the subject, but that's the way I live. But it means a lot because for me, there's no act here. It's not high show business I'm pulling off. It's me singing songs that are true for me about my life and thoughts that I have, and they're meant to be interesting or thought-provoking or emotion-provoking or just restful or enjoyable, and then I leave, and one never knows what seeds one has planted or what bridges one has burned. So right? In life, it's true. In life, it's true. You leave a lot of things. You leave a lot of things in your wake, and most of those things you never actually quite find out what they were, how they were received. So one thing I've discovered: I'm the least woo-woo person in the world. I am actually a very cynical and practical person. My parents I talked about them, I think, my first visit, but my parents are both lawyers, and I'm an economics major in college, as you would expect, and very cerebral and cynical, and very sarcastic. I have two brothers, so that's like sarcasm is almost a language, for us. So even when I'm writing like personal or spiritual or songs about like making the world a sweeter place or a kinder place, half of me loves it and half of me thinks the other half of me is full of it. Like this is an ongoing battle that I have reconciled, will never be reconciled, if that makes sense. I just do it. And I know that one half of me is going to be lobbing cynicism grenades at the other half while whatever I'm doing. No matter how vulnerable I get with my songs, and you'll hear several songs I think today that you'll hear it's honest vulnerability. It's not an act. The other half of me is thinking, sharing too much, Danny. Just I'm seriously, talking too much, feeling too much, sharing too much. What's the point? It'll wash over them. There's no point in you. You know what I mean? Like this is the thoughts that go in the head of the child of two lawyers. So in the context of a completely non-woo-woo person, meaning I don't do crystals, I don't do auras, I don't pray, I'm just not the slightest bit. Any of that. None of it. The most spiritual thing that I do is hold my boy's hand, hold my wife's hand, scratch our dog's belly, and write and sing my songs. This is the deepest I get, right? But there's something I have encountered that sounds dangerously close to something a minister might say, which is that no matter what the condition of your worldly life, whether your bank account is full or empty, whether your house is a masterpiece or a knockdown, like ours kind of is, or whether your family's getting along or split, whether your hair is full and fluffy or fallen out, whether your stomach is flat or increasingly round like mine, whether you are actually content or actually sad, depressed. They're not the same thing, but either one. I have found that a whole range of worthwhile, positive, beautiful, growth-oriented, peace of mind-directed realities, a whole spectrum of them are still available, no matter what the earthly circumstances, from inside out. All right? So I thought today, and like I said, if you're thinking, what the hell did he just say? So am I. But I mean it. Inside, like that song, and I actually almost wish I didn't have the word God in that song. Inside to find my God, because whatever God means to you, it can mean nature. It's what John Muir used to say about Yosemite. He didn't believe in God, but his temple was Yosemite. I'm kind of halfway there with him. If you've been to Yosemite or Yellowstone or the Grand Canyon, it's as one of the most brilliant atheist writers and speakers I've ever heard, a guy named Christopher Hitchens. He used to say, I don't need to believe in a God to be in awe of the magnificence of the universe. It's just that beautiful. I don't need it. All I got to do is look through a microscope or look through a telescope, and I feel that awe. I don't need it. So whatever the word God means to you, I still stand by what that song says. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find. And like I said, I thought we would do a few little experiments today about going inside to see whether you might have walked into a trap today where you're going to discover something that you have either not noticed, not wanted to notice, haven't had the time to notice, haven't been quiet enough to notice. I am the least quiet human being. Ask my wife. I either never stop talking or singing. Now my little boy, Jude, is now 10, and he walks around the house making up songs, and God help us, he's taking drum lessons, and even worse than that, he's good at it. So quiet is not my specialty. This is Danny the hypocrite. This is just me sharing something with you as an idea, all right? So I tell you about my friend who I just found out is made of much tougher and more durable and more impressive stuff than I even knew, even though I already thought highly of her. To find out where she'd come from changed my perception of her. So I thought one thing, I have a long list, and I've narrowed it down to 5, and we'll see if we have time, but the first thing that I think is available, it's a decision away, if that makes sense, is to arrive at a better understanding of someone who causes you unease. That is available. I don't usually choose that path. I think most people don't. I'm man enough to admit it. I'd rather be angry, I'd rather be righteous, I'd rather be hurt, I'd rather be blamey. You know what I'm saying? Of course, all of those are easier. But I thought we'd dabble today and just see if somebody comes to mind, and if so, if a thought about them comes to mind. So we're going to do the close your eyes thing if you feel like it. I don't usually close my eyes when somebody tells me to. To paraphrase my wife, you're not the boss of me. But I have a song to share with you. But first, let's take, we're going to be brief about this. This is just a little experiment for the morning, okay? We're going to go a few places inside to see what's available. There are things available, okay? I wouldn't tell you that peace on earth is available. That's nonsense. There's war and suffering all over the world all the time. But peace in you might be available, at least for a few minutes. And life is kind of made of minutes. So, let's take a second. And like I said, if you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you're not, don't. And I'll just ask you this question. Well, a couple of questions. First question is, when I say there's a person in your life who causes you unease, did somebody just come to mind? Parent, friend, spouse, child, co-worker, ex, grandparent, politician, TV personality, somebody who rankles you, makes you sad, makes you scared, makes you angry, puts you down, or has in the past. Okay? Got somebody in mind? Or more than one person? I'd suggest focusing on one just for the 30-second exercise here, but that's just me. All right, so pick a person, and now ask yourself, where did they come from? And what did they come through? If you don't know, A novelist is just a person who tells a story pen to paper. If you don't know, spin a story. What could have made that person have that personality, that characteristic, that bullying or that cruelty or that unkindness or that insensitivity or that indifference or that bigotry? What could have built it into him or her? Okay? And now, before we sing a song, you may or may not want to, but if you can think of a couple of things that they've achieved, this person, a couple of things that are actually, you may not want to admit it, but are actually impressive. A couple of things you would admire if you didn't dislike them so much, or resent them so much, or hate them, or fear them. A couple of things that they've done that you objectively, as best you can, think highly of. And then as a final thought, bring both sides of those stories together. This is a person who came through something that made them that unlikable person, or that unkind person, or that cruel person, or that insensitive or prejudiced person. This is a person who came through that to become that, but who also climbed that mountain that you actually have to give them some credit for. You have to admire. They came through a lot. When they arrived, they were deeply flawed, and I'm not minimizing how flawed people can be. I'm just saying, we're talking about understanding this person just a bit more, rather than holding them so far away with resentment that we never quite see that it's a human being we're talking about, thinking about, and feeling about. Would you want to trade places with that person in their childhood? Would you want to trade places with that person in their home? So available, my premise is, available at any time is just a drop more understanding. I won't even use the word compassion. Empathy, understanding. I've never understood how you turned out so good with all that you've had to endure. No one expected you to make the best of you. The deck stacked against you for sure. The more that I learn, the more I admire how you never got burned being forged in the fire. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now. With a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine. You never talk about when you first figured out that you'd have to go it alone. It breaks my heart to picture you, a child hiding out of you, so young to fight on your own. But still here you stand, and still here you are, igniting the world with your luminous heart. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine, and that would explain how you never admit any pain. So let me just say, that child has a lot to be proud of, but no longer needs to keep the world at bay. If you were mortal, you'd have quit by now. You've been counted out so many times. You're human like me. You can bruise, you can bleed, but you must have steel in your spine. Yeah, a mortal would have quit by now, but your light was determined to shine. So much more than they see, a superhero to me. You must have steel in your spine. You must have steel in your spine. Now, the next thing I think that I thought I'd invite you to consider is available at any time. I don't know about you, but the feeling of being stuck is not all that uncommon. Like stuck in the fixer-upper home. I don't feel stuck in my marriage now, but I have felt stuck in relationships in the past. I have actually one of the funnier songs I ever wrote is called "We Suck at Breaking Up." And that was true. We did suck at breaking up. We weren't great at dating, and we were especially bad at breaking up when we both knew we should. So feeling stuck in a job, feeling stuck in a city. I would leave, but I can't because I would go to college, but I can't because I would try a new career, but I can't because I would move, but I can't because I would take up hiking or skiing or painting, but I can't because stuck's easy. Stuck's common. And by the way, stuck's often true. I mean, really. You know, finances are real. Physical pain is real. But I do think of more available than we necessarily give credit to, more available internally, is a capacity to begin or end something. In other words, autopilot depends on not grabbing the wheel. You know, it depends on not deciding that it's time for a change. And hear me, I'm not trying to be oversimplistic here. It's complicated to end things, expensive, painful, scary, and sometimes impossible. The exact same things are true about starting things. But, And I don't believe that you become a college professor by deciding. You actually become a college professor by getting a master's degree and learning a field. But it does start with a decision. And as far as I can tell, I don't make any decisions of any substance while watching TV. I don't make any decisions of substance while paying my bills. I don't make any decisions of substance while worrying. Sorry, I mean, not really. I can lay up all night worrying, but I don't usually land on a nugget of gold while sweating or having heartburn, you know what I mean, or insomnia. That's not actually where I have moments of genius, if I have any. So available, it seems to me, available but elusive is a capacity to get clear about something that wants to end, or to get clear about something that you're actually ready to begin. So, experiment number 2 is, if you feel like it, go ahead and close your eyes again. I'll do the same thing. Experiment number 2. You ready? All right. So, the only job you've got, if you feel like enlisting in this, is to actually tell yourself the truth. You don't have to say anything out loud, write anything down. There are no witnesses. That's why I start with that song. Your thoughts are still your own. I'm just asking in case the answer is interesting to you. It's nobody else's business. Are you ready? Here's the first question. What is over that you don't want to admit is over? And this is Danny talking. I'm in the music business. I have a table of CDs. It's like I sell saddles after the Model T was released. So I understand if there's something you really have not wanted to look at. What is it that's over, or is in the process of ending or dying, that you just haven't wanted to look at or acknowledge? A hobby? A job? A relationship? A friendship? A financial reality that you have lived with in the past but is no longer true, or you're hanging on to? How about a neighborhood reality, or a neighbor, or a community that's over? How about your physical condition? Something you've always done, but really can't do anymore. All right, that's the first. And the second is, if you don't owe anybody anything, if you don't have to say the answer out loud, you don't have to act on it, your thoughts are your own, what is it that you want to start? What wants to begin? That you could hold off at arm's length for the rest of your life. You absolutely can. But it is knocking on your door. A class, a career, a person, a feeling. A life choice, relocation, sexual orientation, religious beliefs. What's knocking on your door? Asking to begin. The only interesting answer is the answer you find interesting. Bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm through crying, I'm through waiting, I'm through hoping against all hope. I'm through longing for something gone that'll never return. I think I finally learned to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, yeah. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm through grieving, I'm through dreaming that the life I had is ever coming back. And no more wishing on someone else's star that'll never be mine. I think it's time to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, yeah. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. And I've survived many times before, broken hearts and slamming doors. I'll be all right, yes I will, once more, just as I did back then. I'm gonna rise again, so bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, yeah. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I know it's gonna be everything new. I know it's gonna be everything new. Our boy Jude has a gift for throwing absolutely none of his clothes into the hamper. Every day, he's still transitioning from wild animal to person. And every day, when he doesn't have to be wearing clothes, he's completely naked. And when he gets ready for bed, he drops everything he's wearing by the sink where he brushes his teeth, and his clothes are there on the floor. when he falls asleep, just all over the place. Like they were blown off of him in a hurricane, you know. And while he's awake, if he's still running around and I still catch him, I say, Jude, for God's sake, put your clothes in the hamper. And he sometimes does and sometimes laughs. But when he's asleep, those clothes transform into something magical. They transform into adorable, if that makes sense. They transform into, oh my God, how could I get mad at that little stinker? Look how tiny these shorts are. He's so little. But he's so much bigger than he used to be, and we just love him, and we find these clothes around the house, and instead of being irritated, right, we adore him, and we're suddenly, you know, present to how much we love this little monster, you know. And thank you for coming. Drive safe. And I don't know if you've ever found that to be true, like you're having like what seems like a normal lunch, let's say, with somebody, and you snap a picture. And then you come across that picture a month later or 6 months later or 6 years later, and you think, that was really lovely. Or, I haven't seen that person since. Or, I love him. He makes me laugh. Or, he died a year after you had lunch and you never see him again. And suddenly that picture becomes a memento, or right, precious, right? Like Jude's clothes on the floor, like we miss the preciousness of it until he goes to sleep. And maybe that sounds strange, maybe you understand. We miss it, but then when we see it later, we think, oh my God, he's just so cute. And he's not going to be this little long, and he's not going to be at home much long. I mean, you know, he's 10. So if he goes to college away, that's 7 years away. That's kind of, we're hurtling towards that day. So this is the thinking my wife goes through to not get mad at him for the mess he makes. Is, you know, she doesn't know that at 24 it's going to be much less cute. But anyway, so I thought we're running obviously crazy late. So I thought I'd do one more little thought experiment with you if you're up for it. Okay, and that is, I also think available at any moment with a decision, and again, a decision I don't make very often or very lightly. Available at any moment is the capacity to detect, to feel the precious that's happening while it's happening. Not from an hour later when the kid's asleep. Not from a month later after the vacation's over. Not from 6 years later after the kid's a foot taller, or not from 20 years later after the marriage is long over and you smile about the ex having done something that you loved back then. But to actually be present now to something precious now. It's a decision. And it's not a decision I often make. But I thought I would invite you and me to have one of those moments, if you were willing, right? So for example, let's say you're in this room right now with somebody you love. Maybe you're not. Let's say you are, okay? I have one of my best friends, Todd. Actually, I love him so much, not only is it emotional to even talk about him, I just love him like a brother. I've known him since I was 7. He lived down the street from me in Skokie, where I grew up, near Chicago. But I remember dropping off, then he moved to Austin, had a couple boys. I used to take him, when I would visit Austin, I would go with him to drop his boys off at school. I'll never forget, one day we dropped Nate off in like first grade. Now Nate is 27, right? We dropped Nate off one day at his school, and when Nate waved goodbye and walked away, Todd said, every day when my kids get out of the car, I wonder if I'll ever see them again. And he says goodbye to them and I love you to them, aware of that. That's what he did when they were little boys. I'll never forget it. At first, it feels like a sad thought, but it's not. It actually, to me, it's a hugely present thought, because it's just true about every interaction we have, every place we go, every good moment, every good meal, every good feeling we have is as fleeting as that, and certainly will never come back exactly, but may never come back even approximately. So if you're here with somebody you love, Or there's somebody you love you have a plan with this week, or somebody you love you saw in the last few days, or FaceTimed, or got a letter from, or we're just thinking of fondly. If you feel like it, let's experiment in recognizing that looking back 10 years from now, that thought is going to be precious. If there was a photo of you with the person you love in this room with you, or the person you're going to have lunch with on Tuesday, or the person you played racquetball with on last Thursday, if there was a photo, think about how it would feel 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, after, or to them after you're gone. And let's see if we can't experiment in a true present feeling of appreciation for it, an acknowledgement of its preciousness while it's happening, rather than after the fact. So, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, just for a minute. What person has been in your life and in your company recently, or will be very soon, that you just love? They make you feel safe, or happy, or comfortable, or loved, or seen, or remembered, and you do the same for them, or did. Anyone that comes to your mind. Can you feel the preciousness of the opportunity just to have those few minutes with them? Not as a memory, but as an actual experience in the moment. I thought I'd share with you just a little piano piece that I wrote in just one of these kinds of moments. I was at my parents' condo in Chicago a few years ago with our little boy, who was maybe 7 at the time, and we're sitting in the living room of their condo, but it's not where I grew up, but a lot of the furniture was moved over, so my dad's Archie Bunker chair is there that we never were allowed to sit in, and the upright piano that I learned to play piano on as a boy is there. So I'm sitting noodling on the piano, and behind me, about 15 feet in the living room, my dad, I realize as I'm sitting at the piano, my dad is sitting in that chair that he grew up sitting in, teaching my son how to play chess on the little wood chess set that he taught his own boys on. And for a minute, I actually got present to it. Like, I didn't miss it. I didn't think about if I was hungry, or who's pissed me off recently, or whether I changed the flight or checked in, or, you know what I mean? I didn't think about anything. I just thought, if this was a movie, this would be a beautiful scene. I'm listening to my dad explain a rook and a bishop to my son, 3 generations in the room. That chair I know, and this piano I know. I took lessons on this piano. This piano is the reason I know how to play piano, right? So I started just noodling a little melody and wrote a piece of music, and I called it A Long Way from Home. And we'll wrap up with this, and do the offering, and get out of here before 3 o'clock.
thought-provoking message.
You're welcome.
Now is the time for our offering, giving, receiving, all in this most circular motion. Let's join together in these wonderful words. Together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
All right, one more song just to close. Well, not quite to close, but pretty much to close. Last time I was here, I believe I did this insane rap song. Do you guys, anybody remember that thing? I'm pretty sure I did that. I'm not doing that today. Today, I've been, my head has been completely immersed for the last, well, a couple months at least in recording a new album. I didn't realize I was writing a lot of songs during the pandemic, but I was. So it is, it's almost done, and I think it's pretty good. One never knows. But it's about, I'm pretty sure it's my 24th album. It's called Real, and I thought I would do something for you today that not only is one of the new songs, but also sounds like one of the new songs off the album. So I'm going to play with it, to do it with a track. And when I say that it's not finished, I mean I was working on this track yesterday, and it probably will be different tomorrow. And my son has to hear all these songs as I'm writing them, so he's actually sick of these songs. Like, he's sick of them like they've been stuck in the car CD player for a year, kind of sick. So he's heard them 1,000 times, and he comments on the production, "Daddy, why did you add piano there? Just leave it. Just leave it." That's what my 10-year-old yells at me in the car. So anyway, so I thought I'd share with you this song. Very few people have heard this, and it's not actually totally unrelated to what I talked about today. But
I'll tell you if there's too much piano.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please. Please. Oh, yeah, bring on the comments about the production. I'm totally open to comments about the production. And I have that little table in the back there, and as I mentioned, I have CDs. If you still listen to CDs, which I certainly do. And I just about 2 weeks ago, I started pre-selling the new album. If you don't care, you don't care. But if you're interested in the new songs, a digital email of it is, I'll sell you a little digital email of it when it comes out, or I'll mail you a CD when it comes out. And I have a USB drive that it's going to have now 14 albums on it of inspirational songs. So like 100 and, I think it's up to 180 something songs on there. And that'll include the new album. It doesn't yet, of course, because the new album doesn't exist. But if you don't know what a USB drive is, you don't want it. Don't even ask. And then I have shiny objects that my wife makes. She's a silversmith. She stays home with Jude, and she makes beautiful. And I have a whole bunch. She just made some beautiful earrings. So if you feel like just looking, oohing and eyeing at some beautiful solid silver handmade jewelry, that's why I give that pride of place on that half of the room, because what she makes and who she is far better looking than anything I could ever conjure up. So that's the story, okay? All right, here we go. One new song for you. I'm not sure what's about to happen or how this is going to go. So thanks for being a safe place, right? We're a safe place for this. All right. All my songs are heartfelt, and this one is very much a true song for me. So here we go. Do you ever feel, but try to ignore something real, something more? Well, your secret's safe, but by the way, I feel it too. So this is me. I've got to go. I've got no plan. I've just got to know what's calling me, 'cause I believe it's something true. And I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it if it's the last thing I ever do. I'm gonna find it. It's just a matter of time, yeah. And when I do, I promise you it's gonna be real. I've never been the kind of guy to stride the stage, to own the night. I'd rather hide. I'd sooner ride along than drive. But in my dreams, how sweet it feels, from red to green, hands on the wheel. The moment's mine. It's finally time to bring on the light, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it if it's the last thing I ever do. I'm gonna find it. It's just a matter of time, yeah. And when I do, I promise you it's gonna be real. Smiling at strangers, passing time. Am I still alive? Or staring down danger in overtime? What destiny is mine? I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. If it's the last thing I ever do. Oh, just a matter of time, yeah. And when I do, I swear to you, it's gonna be real. Gonna hold it in my hand, gonna taste it on my tongue. Gonna show it to the world, gonna tell them what I've done, yeah. Gonna see it with my eyes, gonna carry it in my arms. Gonna shout it to the wind, gonna feel it in my heart. There you go. Thanks.